Hello, this is Cindy Mazzaferro with Miracle Messages and so much more. I am so excited to have a really wonderful friend and another author from Morgan James Publishing out of New York. Her name is Karen Putz, and she is known as the Passion Mentor. She specializes in helping people to unwrap their passions at any age so they can create the lives they truly want. Karen speaks internationally on this topic and is also a certified passion test facilitator. Karen is the author of several books, including her latest release, Unwrapping Your Passion, creating the life that you truly want. For fun, she loves to walk on water, and that's called barefoot water skiing, and it is tough. I water ski, but I don't barefoot water ski. So congratulations. Hello, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How about you?
I'm well, thank you, and thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, do you have a copy of your beautiful book right there in front of you?
I do. I keep a copy on me at all times.
It's beautiful. I love the cover. And
Yeah.
we're going to be actually unwrapping this interview by revealing Karen's passion and what got her to be writing this book. So I am so excited to share Karen's mission, her passion, and help you to uncover your passion and some things you may be needing to look at and address. Before we start, though, Karen, I'd love to share a small quote from the foreword in your book. And I know Deborah Poneman and Janet Atwood as well. And they both wrote, and I'm going to quote them here, "This is a book by a powerful woman who wants no preferential treatment for being differently abled. This is a book that will inspire you to come alive, to celebrate your uniqueness, to stop letting life happen and start making life happen, to understand fear for the imposter it really is, and to dust off your passions and live the life you were put on this earth to live, no matter what kind of abled you are." So I just thought that was so powerful words from two beautiful women that I love and adore, and I know you do as well.
Yeah, I was really, really blessed to cross paths with them.
It's amazing. Well, there are no coincidences in the universe, right?
Right, very much so. The timing was right. The people in the path were just amazing.
And I agree, because I had amazing people in my path, and Deborah and Janet were two of them as well. So it is amazing. Here we're at the same publishing house, so it's just amazing how the universe and the energy continues to support us. So what I'd like to start with, Karen, is that what made you want to write this book? What was the reason? When was it born or birthed in your system, in your body, your soul?
Well, I would tell you, I was taking a bath, and this was 6-7 years ago, and I was just sitting there meditating, and I basically asked God, what's my masterpiece? The reason why I asked that question was because when I was in college, there was a Billy Joel song called James. And there was a line in the song, "When will you write your masterpiece?" I knew I was a writer since I was 9, but I kept ignoring that call, ignoring it until finally, one day I realized I am a writer. So I'm sitting there in the bathtub thinking, okay, what am I supposed to write next? And almost immediately I saw this picture of a book, and on the title was Unwrapping Your Passion. And there was a bow in front of it. So I held on to that vision. But the problem was the timing wasn't right. The book was there, the idea was there, but I was not ready to write it. I was not in a place where I myself was really experiencing what does it mean to live a passionate life. I wasn't ready. So I emailed one of my mentors, Kevin Hall, who wrote the book Inspire. And I said to him, Kevin, what do? I don't know enough passionate people to start writing this book. And he sent me back an email that basically said, Karen, you hold on to the vision and the people will appear and they'll open doors for you. That Joseph Campbell quote. And sure enough, on the very next airplane ride, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about the book and I look over it and the guy sitting next to me has a book and the word passion jumps out at me. And so, of course, I have to ask him, what is your passion? And his story is in the book. His name is Pete Luzik. And his story was that he left a perfectly good job to become a professional fisherman because that was what he was called to do. And so one by one, they just kept showing up. And the next thing I knew, I had talked to over 200 people about the topic of passion. What they taught me was amazing. So I wrote the book.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. There's a little reverberation going on, Karen, with the noise.
How can we fix that?
Is it the volume that you have?
Could be.
Let me just have Karen check that real quick. As you know, I explained earlier.
I can't seem to change that volume.
So Karen, what I loved about this, what you were just talking about, is that you mentioned how it wasn't the right timing and that you held on to this idea, this kind of inspiration that came to you, and we'll talk about that a little bit farther along in that interview, but that you held tight this dream, this vision, this inspiration, and you kind of nestled it, you nurtured it, and your mentor said to you, hold on to it, and the universe will respond and doors will start to opening, and they did. And I love this because I so truly believe it, and it's happened to me as well. But so many people will ask you, how do you know what to do when you don't know what your passion is? And I'd love for you just to start with that. How do you define passion?
That's a good question. And probably the one question that I get asked all the time. Most of the time, the most common answer for passion is we think of it as the fire in the belly or a vocation that we're supposed to do, or, I feel all these romantic versions of what passion is as well. In a basic sense, passion is energy. And energy can take very many different forms in our life. What is passion to one person may be something very different to another person. The passion that I write about in my book, I got the quote from a friend of mine, and she said it was very simple. Passion is our joy. And we all know joy, right? I mean, you recognize joy when you feel it, don't you? So that is what passion is. It's your joy. The interesting thing behind passion, there's another meaning, is to suffer willingly. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. When you are truly passionate about something, you are willing to go above and beyond. You're willing to get up at 4 a.m. to write that book. If you're really passionate about what you're supposed to do, you do it. You will run that marathon and you will push until the very end. You will climb your mountain, whatever it is that you're passionate about, the willingness to suffer will drive you. So those are some of the clues that we have.
Right. So what I loved from you was that passion is an energy, and I think that's wonderful to hear it said that way. I've never actually heard that before. But I also heard you say that you have to be willing to suffer, but the suffering is not viewed as suffering because you're following your joy. And what I'd like to pick up on is because as a positive motivational speaker, a lot of people want happiness. We want more happiness. But happiness is not joy. Joy to me, and when I talk about, is a sense of sense of feeling happiness within yourself, but it's a state of being. It's when you are so joyful in what you're doing and experiencing in every aspect that there is happiness in there. There could be sadness in there. There could be struggles like writing that chapter or writing the table of contents. But there's a joy because you're working to an end. You're working through a process of what's bringing you true delight and joy. So joy does not mean that you have to be totally happy at every moment of the process. Do you agree?
Think about it this way. If you've got your ladder set up against the wrong wall, the suffering is for the wrong reason. When you have the ladder up against the right wall and know it, and you know you want to get up to that top, the suffering is meaningful.
You still have to go through the same rungs of the ladder. You still have to climb or do those obstacles, the difficult parts, but the experience of it is viewed differently. I think that's really important. And I love that because in your book, it talks about the actual root meaning of passion is to be willing to suffer for what you love. And part of what I talk about when I work with people is finding the happiness, the joy, the inner happiness, the inner harmony, the inner peace that we need to have within ourselves. And intuition, connecting with your soul is a big part of that.
Can you say that last part again?
Interacting.
I'm good at lip reading, but I'm not that good.
She's very good. And as you know, Karen is deaf and she is phenomenal at lip reading. So I'm purposely trying to speak slower than I typically would. What I was saying is that you have to be willing to investigate and to explore what it is that you're passionate about. And so many people are in the routine of doing what you're doing. You're the mother, you're the wife, you're the employee or employer, and you're the daughter and the sister, but that you're just kind of like existing, you're living. And yes, there's joyful moments and you might love some of that, but is that really your gift? Is that your masterpiece, as you indicated? I love that. I love the way you said that about the masterpiece. I never viewed it that way, but I think it's a perfect way to express your passion. I often talk about we have gifts, that we all have spiritual gifts that I believe that are part of our soul, actually. It's very much connected to our spirit. And that when you can align yourself and awaken to those spiritual gifts, they will be supported in the masterpiece that you're designed to create and bring to this world. So a lot of what you talk about, I talk about in a very different way, but they bring us all to the same beautiful point.
It's so true. When you are lined up with what you're meant to do, things just start falling into place. People show up to help you and guide you, and then you grow from your knowledge.
Right. So let's continue on, because I know there's a lot of people listening to this that says, well, I still don't know what to do. I don't know what my passion is. I'm stuck. I don't have money. I don't have those doors opening up. So how do we get one to actually connect with that inner message, that inner knowledge? And I know you mentioned synchronicity in your book, and I also talk about that. Can you share with us how synchronicity shows up in passion? And you did a little bit already.
Well, let me answer the first part first. When people come up to me and they're like, I don't know what my passion is, they're often thinking in terms of vocation or activity rather than how they feel about something. And most of us, when we really crack down on it and really get to the nitty-gritty of what we want, we know how we want to feel. I want joy, I want happiness, how we get to that point is very different for everyone. That's one of the reasons why I love the passion test so much, because it's a very quick, accurate, you get your top 5 passions very quickly. So synchronicity, I love that word. I can't even say it very well, but I love that word because it's something that has been popping up in my life over and over and over since I've been on this passion journey. And I'll give you an example from my book. Wayne Dyer was the one who I first learned that word from. And it's about when things line up, coincidences, or what we know as fate starts showing up in our lives. We get signs. If we don't pay attention to them, we can miss them. My husband and I had always wanted to see Wayne Dyer speak. So I asked my husband if we could do that for our 25th anniversary. And he liked Wayne Dyer. He watched him on PBS one time. So we flew to California and we got to see Wayne Dyer, front row seats, and we sat next to Anita Morgie, the one who had a near-death experience.
Right.
It was a beautiful night. So on our way back to the hotel, I, for some reason, had picked the hotel on Venice Beach. And as you know, this very young, very hip, and lots of marijuana everywhere. So we arrived there, there's graffiti everywhere on the walls, and my husband's like, maybe we should have gotten the hotel in Santa Monica. Well, it was too late. So we go to the hotel, and the one thing that I wanted was to see a sunset on the beach. So we went out on the beach, and we saw the most glorious sunset. It was everything that I wanted for our anniversary. And I'm snapping pictures, and a guy comes walking up to me, and he's like, oh, I see that you're snapping all these beautiful pictures. Would you mind sending them to me? Sure. So we're texting him all the pictures. We walk back to the hotel, and when we walk in, there's a woman with the same Wayne Dyer bag. Now, keep in mind, we were an hour and a half away from the workshop. What are the chances of walking in and seeing someone from that workshop? And she had seen us there. So that was some synchronicity there. But I believe the real reason we saw that sunset and met that guy, when we arrived back in our hotel room, he sent us the most beautiful marriage poem, a poem about marriage. It was the most beautiful one that I had ever seen. You know, and so when we went to bed that night, we were like, wow, look at all the signs that brought us to that hotel to have a glorious experience for an anniversary. And that's when synchronicity happens. Things start lining up, and you're not really sure what the reason is, but then it starts appearing for you.
It's amazing. It really is amazing how that happens. And, you know, passion is actually, as you read in your book, is the fuel for success. So when you are aligned with opening these doors, being fearless, walking into it, and allowing the universe to kind of almost push you, almost like you're part of the river and the current's pushing you, supporting you, keeping you afloat. It's amazing because you're going to get to success in divine timing, when it's the right timing, and people keep coming in, opportunities keep coming into you, and you're towards your masterpiece. It's amazing. So can you tell us what are the top 5 traits of passionate people?
Mm-hmm.
What do they?
Yes, believe it or not, I'm going to open it up in my book.
Yes.
It's funny because when I was interviewing 200 people for this, it kept coming up over and over and over. It was almost uncanny because it was in just about every person, almost every story that I came up with. We pause. Isn't that funny? I've written the book, but I haven't memorized it. It's funny. But the 5 traits that come up over and over and over, the first one is authenticity, being authentic. Every single person that I interviewed, they owned who they were. You know, they knew themselves, and they weren't afraid to show themselves to the world. They were very, very comfortable in their own skin. And I think for a lot of us, we struggle with that. Yeah? So the
Definitely.
other one is being open-minded. And that's a very important trait. When you are open-minded, you are open to learning. You are more willing to experience things. You're not afraid to get out there and be a fool. A lot of us hold back because we're like, oh, what would people think of me? So keeping an open mind and beginning with a beginner's mind is very, very important. Having self-drive, very critical. If you want to have a life where you are living passionately and fully, you have to design it. You have to be that master that says, okay, this is the life I want. And you work in tandem with the universe, with God, and be open to what happens and what unfolds. But you have to be self-driven to do that. Meaning, if you want to watch a movie for 2 hours or write that book that you want to write on bestseller list, which one is it going to be? Okay. And the fourth trait, people have high energy. They are really in tune to who they are. The energy that they give off is beautiful, joyful. They vibrate at a much, much higher energetic level than people who are going through routines, people who feel stuck in life. And so it's very, very important to have that self-drive.
Right.
And then the last thing, and this is really what's the surprising one for me, resilience. And it shouldn't be surprising, right? But the thing is, when you are resilient, you will not give up. You will have grit. You will continue to do far more and far beyond than the normal average person would. When you're passionate about something, when something drives you, you have that bounce back factor. And you're willing to, okay, life will hit you and get you down, but you're saying, okay, wait a minute, I know what I want. I'm going to go after it and to keep doing this. Those are the 5 traits.
Beautiful. So what comes up for me now is 2 different things about those traits is that, when, is age and also ability, how does that play into it? And I think it does, because part of being authentic is even acknowledging your limitations. I know in your book you have a beautiful story about Chad, who is paralyzed, and I know you've been very open, and in your foreword, Janet and Deborah speak about your deafness, your lack of hearing, and how that hasn't stopped you whatsoever about creating your masterpiece. And so maybe you can speak to that briefly for anyone who feels they are seeing they're lacking in some way. I don't have the resources. I don't have the confidence to believe in what my words would say. I'm not smart enough. All the reasons you're not, how that is not true. That is a falsehood. So maybe you could just briefly speak on that for a second.
Yeah. Our negative self-talk is probably the biggest inhibitor of us pursuing a passionate life. Some of it is what I call cautionism, especially when we talk about getting older or ageism. Mm-hmm. If you think about the messages we get bombarded with, you're over the hill at 30, all those retirement, candles are going to burn down the house. The messages that we get about getting older, either we make jokes about them or they paint a very sad picture. And that is what I want to challenge, especially in this book, because we need role models out there who are breaking the barriers, who are changing the boundaries of aging, who are doing things that we can't even wrap our mind around. And I'll give you an example. I always wanted to take up surfing, and I did at the age of 50. But before I went surfing, I did some research, and I discovered there was a whole club out there of 80, 90-year-olds who are out there surfing every day. It changes the whole paradigm of what we think is possible when we find somebody else who's doing something and living life full out and passionate. What does that mean for us? And the other thing is, when you are given the gift of passion, maybe you are supposed to break those boundaries. Maybe you are supposed to push what's possible out there.
Right.
We have to change that self-talk.
Right. And what I loved about that is that I believe that our passions or our goals or aspirations will change over time. And so ageism, or as we get older, we need to reawaken. We need to become awakened to the new passion. You know, you maybe were a parent and you were bringing up your children. You loved that responsibility. That was a beautiful gift, and that way you were very passionate about that. Or maybe it was a job and you were very passionate about your career. That's all wonderful, but there comes a time in life, and that time can be at any moment, where you start to feel that your present situation has lost the spark, has lost that passion within, and you're needing to fuel the fire within you to find out what the new passion is at this time of your life. And you are never too old to ever start a new passion, a new masterpiece. And I love that word masterpiece. I'm an artist as well, fine artist. But you know, you think of a person, a conductor who actually conducts an orchestra. You know, he's creating this masterpiece of all these beautiful musicians, and that as a conductor, or if you're the artist of standing in front of your canvas, if you will, you're creating this beautiful masterpiece, and it's amazing how it continues to change and shape and impact others. And then the other thing you talked about, which I am so aligned with, is how we limit ourselves. And you know, I just want to kind of support what you're saying in that my book, Powerful Beyond Measure, which is behind me, where it takes away any limitation, because when you awaken to this power within, and we could say it's your passion or your spiritual gifts or your inner wisdom, whatever that is for you, or all of it, it allows you to be powerful beyond measure. It allows you to have capabilities, possibilities that are limitless. And this is when your joy, when your passion is so filled within yourself. And it's amazing how the universe supports you in that road. So I loved what you brought all those up, and I wanted to kind of reinforce them because I think they're so pivotal for people as they're listening to this. And I know you ended on resilience, and I think that's a really great word. And we don't hear that very often. And so important, because resiliency for me, and I think this is what you're referring to too, is about persistence. It's about perseverance, perseverance. About, you know, how many times I fall down, I still can get back up, because I know that I fell down maybe because I wasn't supposed to take that path, because I'm learning something that I need to implement in my passion, you know. So like yourself, Karen, you know, when you experienced times when your passion wasn't fueled, you were feeling frustrated, it was because it wasn't the right timing, because you weren't like ripe to receive that information. So it's so important that we are committed to ourselves. And I love that you talked about this whole thing about connecting with ourselves, our authenticity, and believing in ourselves, trusting in ourselves, that we are supported, we are brilliant, and that we have this passion, this beautiful gift we're supposed to share. And you have to unwrap it inside yourself so that you can know what it is, and then you can bring it to be, you know, born to be shared. So it's a very exciting book. Unwrapping Your Passion. We're going to keep talking about it, but Unwrapping Your Passion, while we're listening to us, go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble online. You can order it, be at your home in 2 or 3 days, or if you're at your favorite bookstore, they can order it. If they don't already have it in there, just tell them, I want to unwrap my passion, and please order me Karen's copy. So that's amazing. So So you talk about in your book, which I think is really important. Can we talk a little bit about listening within? How do we connect to that voice inside to reveal our passion?
How do we connect what?
To the voice within?
That's a really good one, because if you think about it, our everyday routine usually drowns out the voice within. And I always tell people that when you are at a point where you're confused, I don't know what my passion is, I don't know where to begin, the place to begin is in quiet. Literally grab a spiral notebook, go into the woods somewhere, sit down at a picnic table and write and meditate and let the thoughts flow. Very, very seldom are we quiet and still enough to allow that voice to speak within us. Now, I have a little bit of an advantage because I have hearing aids that I can turn off. So see, there's blessings in everything. When it comes to meditating, I'm a champ at that.
Wonderful. And I so agree. You know, when we have all the chaotic noise from the world around us, all the demands that are being pulled, the news, the music, all the energy traffic, even, you know, the static we hear, that we need to go quiet, to hear the wisdom within ourselves. And if you believe in a greater universe, a God of your calling, this is all information that will be downloaded to you. And writing and journaling, taking baths, as Karen did, are beautiful ways to allow that inner wisdom, we call it intuition, the voice of your soul, to be present, to allow you to experience that voice from within. So
absolutely. And here's another thing is that if you have only done it once or twice, you may be quick to say this doesn't work.
Yes.
It takes practice. It takes time to really quiet down all the things that are going in your head to be able to get in the place where you can listen. So don't give up too soon. You know, practice this. You know, do it over and over and over. You get to the point where your mind quickly starts knowing, okay, this is my quiet time. Here's what I'm supposed to do. And then you're like, you got to black out your calendar and you just black things out and start listening within.
Exactly. And one of your chapters is really great. It talks about that sometimes we're living someone else's life and how we, again, you know, it's not our job to facilitate or to really have our children have this wonderful, remarkable life. Yes, we want to. We're supportive, encouraging them, but it's their life. It's their passion they need to reveal and to put together and to create it. But you also have a passion, and we need to look within ourselves, and this is not egotistical, because when you view yourself as a gift, you are the gift to this world. And that when you unwrap your gift within yourself, then you can actually create this masterpiece. When my children were younger, my older son was a swimmer, and when he ended up graduating from high school, there was a swimming banquet. And I was one of the captain's parents, so I actually had to speak. And what I did is I went to Michael's, the craft store, and I bought a little small, thin gift box. And inside that gift box, a little package, a little bow on it. And then I went and I bought little mirrors. And I put a mirror in each box. And the poem that my son loved was The Man in the Mirror. And if you're not familiar with that poem, I encourage you to Google it and it'll come up. But it's all about what you see in the mirror. How do you see yourself? And are you proud of that person, who you are? And so when I spoke at this swim banquet, I said to everyone that there's going to be times in your life when you're struggling. You don't know the answers. You're frustrated, you're depressed, you feel lost. And I want you to keep this present. I want you to keep this gift. And just like your book has that beautiful bow on it, and I want you to open this gift. And when you look inside this gift, you will find that this is your answer to every struggle, every question that you have. This will be where your answer will be found. And so,
beautiful gift.
Thank you. And so a few years later, I got an email back from one of the students that was there at that banquet. And they said, Mrs. Mazzaferro, they used to call me Mrs. Maz. They said, how did you know that someday I would need that gift? And I said, because I've taught this to my sons, that we each have these gifts within ourselves, and that we are remarkable people, and that life can be difficult, and life can be very wonderful too, and that we need to experience both, because it's through our difficulties that helps us to learn, and those learnings become part of the gift that we're going to share with the world. And so, thank you.
I'm sure many of them are still carrying it around.
Yes, I was amazed too. And ironically, I actually did this in front of church after a couple years after that. And it was for Children's Sunday.
And it was for what?
Children's Sunday. They were acknowledging the children in the church. And so I passed out the little boxes with the mirrors in it. But I had them open it there. We were talking about how God looks upon each one of them. There's these beautiful people. And so I had them, show this little gift is inside of you. God's already planted it there. And I said, God wants to know if you're going to leave your gift unwrapped, if it's going to stay there and you're going to ignore it. Or are you going to unwrap your gift and reveal this magical thing that God has for you? And so I said, so what should we do? And I'm asking all the little children. And they said, let's unwrap the gifts. Let's unwrap them. And so they all unwrapped them, and they all saw the mirror. And they're looking at it. And they said, and one little boy raised his hand and he said, I don't have a mirror in my box. I'm like, oh my goodness, I left one out.
Wow.
It was an accident. And I said, like God was just speaking out of my words. I didn't know what I was going to say, but it was almost as if I was Jesus at that moment. And God said, or Jesus said through me, my son, you have the greatest gift of all, because you already know the answer is within you. And you don't need a mirror to show your light. And he goes, that's right. I know I'm a gift from God. And right in front of the whole church. But it was
sad, but yeah.
It was a good save. But it's really remarkable. I love your book. Absolutely love it. And I love the mission and the passion.
I love your book.
Oh, thank you.
And I
love the passion that you brought to it. You're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. And I wish everyone that's listening to this interview goes and buys your book. It's a gift for yourself, and also buy one for your children, your friends.
Both books.
It's just amazing. And I know Karen works as a passion facilitator. If you don't understand what your passion is and you want to reach out to her, where can they find you, Karen?
They can find me at agelesspassion.com. They can email me at karen@agelesspassion.com.
Awesome. And so there's lots of ways to do this. And this is an exciting time in your life. Don't feel frustrated because you don't know your passion, or that you kind of negated it or ignored it for years and years. And you feel, oh, it's too late. No, this is the door for you to walk through. Karen's provided the door for you to walk through and embrace it. And I'm so excited to spread her word and make this really remarkable, because it's a gift she's giving to every one of you.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you.
And I want to share though, Karen, we all talked about here divine timing. Well, one of the things that came to me was I got an invite to actually speak on a cruise, a Royal Caribbean cruise. Now, in my mind, would I have ever thought that was possible? No. I could not have thought about it. And the cruise, the reason why I'm bringing it up, the cruise group that we're going with on the Royal Caribbean traveling the Eastern Caribbean for 7 days. The group that we're belonging to is the Passion and Purpose Cruise. So if any of you are looking to find out what is your purpose, what am I passionate about, how can I look for these new connections, these new involvement, these relationships, opportunities that will support you, then this is the cruise for you. And you can go and look at it at www.purposeandpassioncruise.com, and you will see all the different speakers. And Janet and Deborah, Janet Atwood and Deborah Poneman, are supposed to be speakers. They're the tentative speakers. I don't know if they've been confirmed yet, but they're there as well as other remarkable speakers. And I am also speaking there. So I encourage you all to go to passionandpurposecruise.com. And if you do book your trip, which is on March 18th to the 25th of 2018, please, down when you register, it says, where did you hear about this cruise? Please put my name in, Cynthia Mazzaferro. So I hope to see all of you there, and it would really be remarkable. So Karen, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you. You are amazing.
You too.
And everyone listening here, you're amazing. And I can't wait to hear about your passion. Let me know on Facebook, email me at info@cynthiamazzaferro.com how I can help serve you as well. So thank you again, Karen. Many blessings to all of you, and have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Blessings to all of you.